Welcome back, press fans, coming to you from Altman Studios in beautiful downtown Brentwood to your ears wherever you are. This is Clocked In with the Press. I'm Melissa Van Ruiten, here with Brian Altman on sports.
Hey, everybody.
Today, we'll be talking about a new youth mental health program, Oakley's new library, and Brentwood police getting approved to purchase an armored vehicle, among other things. But first, let's hear a quick word from this episode's sponsor.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at the Lucas Group, an independently owned and operated real estate company in Brentwood. The Lucas Group specializes in all aspects of real estate, working with both buyers and sellers to meet their home ownership needs. Give them a call today at 925-392-8926.
Thanks so much, and jumping right in. California Governor Gavin Newsom has announced a new initiative designed to ensure that children, their parents, and communities have increased access to mental health and substance use services, according to a press release issued by his office. Symptoms of depression and anxiety have escalated, and suicide ideation and attempts have reached historic levels across the nation, according to the press release. Statistics show that 1 in 10 children between the ages of 12 and 17 suffered from at least one major depressive episode last year in California, and suicide rates in youth ages 10 to 18 increased by 20% in the state between 2019 and 2020. In order to address the growing crisis, elements of the new campaign are already available to children and families through the Children's Mental Health Resources Hub. The Hub offers families a dedicated location for go-to services, including multiple support hotlines, Cal Hope, and informational guides on suicide and depression warning signs. The Master Plan for Kids' Mental Health outlines action across 3 key pillars: Healthy Minds for California Kids, rebuilding California's mental health systems, and developing a mental health workforce. The governor also signed AB 2508 by Assemblymember Sharon Quirk Silva, a Democrat out of Fullerton, to better define the role of school counselors that recognizes the importance of access to mental health, according to the press release. The announced plan is designed to make it easier than ever before for kids to access critical mental health and substance use services in their schools, in their homes, and in their communities. To read the full master plan for kids' mental health, visit the link in our story on thepress.net. Moving on to local stories, the Brentwood City Council has unanimously agreed to spend $367,000 on an armored rescue vehicle for the police department. The August 9th council vote followed a presentation by Police Chief Tom Hansen in which he outlined the importance of such equipment for police departments. The vehicle the department sought to purchase is the Bearcat Medivac made by Lenco Armored Vehicles. The website for the vehicle characterizes it as a, quote, response and rescue SWAT truck that is equipped to provide a safe environment to deal with trauma cases such as removing gunshot victims amid active shooter situations. During the meeting, Chief Hansen said, "I'm sorry I'm here tonight asking you for that. I wish I never had to. Incidents have been escalating throughout our communities throughout the United States." The incidents Hansen was referring to included active shooter and hostage situations and other situations involving gun violence. He estimated that these types of criminal activity are escalating by 50 to 60% a year, while listing recent high-profile examples such as the shootings in Uvalde, Texas, and Highland Park, Illinois. Funding for the armored rescue vehicle would not come from the city's general fund, Hansen told the council. Instead, the money would come from the Supplemental Law Enforcement Service Fund, a portion of the police budget that is earmarked for the purchase of new equipment. The police department's request for approval from the council is the result of an ordinance passed at the May 10th council meeting that required departments to adopt a usage policy for military gear to comply with the State Assembly Bill 481 that requires police departments to get approval from their city councils for the purchase and usage of military gear. The city of Oakley has begun taking their first steps toward their new library. Oakley City Manager Josh McMurray said that the city has hired a management firm to do early analysis on building a new city library. A deal last April between Oakley City Council and Contra Costa County would enable Oakley to have its own standalone library by demolishing the old Delta Patrol Sheriff's Substation located at 210 O'Hara Ave. McMurray said, "We are still very early in the project and I wish I could provide more detail, but it will be another month or 2 before I know more. We have hired management partners to assist with some early analysis. The findings of that will be presented to the City Council towards the end of this year. Until that happens, the Oakley Library borrows space that is initially leased from Freedom High School. The lease began in 1999 and expired in 2004. Because the Oakley Library has no permanent space and Freedom High School is their leaseholder, they could be asked to leave at any time without another space to go to, according to the Friends of the Oakley Library's website. The City of Oakley has 36 months to secure funding for the construction of and ongoing maintenance of the new space. If the timeline is not met, the property the county is feeding to the city would revert to the county, according to McMurray. The Oakley Library averages 500 visitors per day, with much higher numbers in the summer months. McMurray said that the library cannot accommodate the community. The existing library is only 3,000 square feet and does not meet the needs of the almost 45,000 residents, stated McMurray. According to the city fire code, at its current size, the space can accommodate only 230 visitors at a time. And now, we're going to take a quick break to hear another word from this episode's sponsor. But when we come back, Brian will give us all the latest sports, and we'll have this week's breaking news stories. Stay tuned.
Today's sponsor, the Lucas Group, has been in business since 2005 and is now offering clients the most cutting-edge solutions in property technology through HomeLight's suite of products and services. Simple sales, trade-ins, and cash offers. For simple sales, the Lucas Group makes selling your home easy. Sell when you're ready without the hassle of paying for repairs, prepping for listing, or dealing with showings. Receive a competitive, no-obligation cash offer, typically within 48 hours. Close in as little as 10 days. If you would like to avoid the stress, risk, and hassle of buying and selling at the same time, the Lucas Group can help with a trade-in, a calmer, more certain alternative to real estate. They will buy your current home, giving you the freedom to buy your new home. And if your current home sells for more than the price of your new home, the Lucas Group pays you the difference, minus the selling costs. If you want to triple your winning potential, the Lucas Group has a cash offer program. The Lucas Group will help you make the strongest offer possible with a 21-day close for free. That means no program or lender fees. Call the Lucas Group's award-winning agents today at 925-392-8926.
All right, thanks so much to our sponsor this week. We really appreciate you. And Melissa, let's get into some sports.
Let's do it.
All right. The West Coast 2011 Warriors recently played in the Shamrock Tournament in Dublin. And in their first game of the tournament, the Warriors took on the host team, 2011 Dublin United. The Warriors led with strong defensive play, and the game ended in a 4-0 victory over Dublin United. And the Warriors' second game of the tournament was against the Diablo Valley Wolves. Once again, the Warriors led with their dominant defensive play, allowing only 3 shots on goal and winning 5-0 with their second shutout of the day. Wow. The following day, the Warriors played against a tough 2011 MVLA Madrid Black team. MVLA capitalized with 3 early goals and finished the half up 3-0. The Warriors bounced back with relentless pressure and multiple shots in the second half, but could cash in only once. MVLA matched the Warriors' goal in the waning minutes to win 4-1. The Warriors found themselves in first place after round-robin play, which led them to a rematch against the same MVLA Madrid team. The first half was a nail-biter, with both teams unable to capitalize off of multiple shots and excellent goalie play by both teams. The second half started 0-0, and the Warriors' pressure finally paid off with a goal by Daniela Cervantes for a 1-0 lead at the beginning of the second half. The Warriors won the tournament championship 2-0 in a tough matchup. The team showed great resilience and heart throughout the game, team officials said.
Sounds like it was a tough one.
Sounds like it was a crazy tournament.
Fight to the finish.
I was just enjoying reading it. I didn't watch it personally, but I'm just like, what's going to happen next?
Well, then definitely check out the article in this week's paper because it gives a full play-by-play with all the players. I know it mentioned some players scored their very first goal of the season.
I love that.
In this game. It sounded like it was very exciting. And soccer is always super exciting to watch.
I love soccer. I played soccer for 9 years.
I played for 8.
Awesome. Yeah, that's what's up. All right, moving on. During the 2022 Major League Baseball Draft, 18 of the players selected participated in the New Balance Future Stars Series main event in 2021. It features the best high school seniors in the country with scouts from major league teams and different colleges watching. When the 2022 main event takes place, one of the players on the field will be Freedom High School first baseman Trent Keys. On Friday, September 23rd, one game will be held at Dunkin' Donuts Stadium in Hartford, Connecticut, home of the Hartford Yard Goats. Seriously? That's almost as good as the Banana Slugs.
Yeah.
The Double-A affiliate of the Colorado Rockies. That's the Yard Goats. They're the Double-A affiliate of the Colorado Rockies. The following day, Keys and his fellow future stars will shift to one of baseball's most cherished venues for 2 games at Fenway Park.
Whoop, whoop.
Oh yeah, home of the Boston Red Sox and the oldest Major League stadium.
The most amazing Major League stadium.
I've never been. Have you been?
Oh yeah, it's an institution. Let's be real. It's Fenway Park. Come on.
There's songs about it. Besides baseball, the event's biggest feature is the charity fundraiser behind it. While there is no fee for players to participate, they are asked to raise money for the Jimmy Fund, which has been the official charity of the Red Sox since 1953. For Keys, the Jimmy Fund is perfect. Cancer is a disease that he has experience with through his own family. His grandmother has fought cancer on 3 separate occasions, while his grandfather is currently fighting the disease. Keys and his family have lived in Oakley since 2006. Until he was 13, he played East County Little League and then transitioned to travel ball. He's also played high school baseball during all 3 of his years at Freedom. And in his junior year last spring, Keys hit a .314 batting average with a team-leading 7 home runs. He also added 7 stolen bases for the Falcons. Getting to play in the main event is a long-held wish of Keys, who intends on playing baseball after he graduates from high school next June.
Again, with the amazing athletes that we have in this area, I love every single one of these stories.
It kind of blows my mind.
It's just, I don't know, maybe it's something in the water.
There's definitely something in the water. It's the Delta water.
We just need more of it.
Everybody go drink a gallon of Delta water.
Oh no, maybe don't. Maybe don't.
Just kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't listen to us.
Toxic algae.
All right, Melissa. Last story of the day in sports. The wait for the return of high school football in East County is over. All 6 Bay Valley Athletic League teams return to action on August 26th. Here are all the details of opening week. All games are scheduled to begin at 7 p.m. Marin Catholic at Freedom, Dublin at Heritage, Enox from Modesto at Liberty, Antioch at Monta Vista, which is in Danville, Deer Valley at Northgate in Walnut Creek, Bethel at Pittsburgh, and that's Bethel from Vallejo at Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And those are the games.
That's it. I'm excited. Woo! I mean, admittedly, I was a marching band person, and so that was my Friday Night Lights. Like, we'd go and we'd march, and it was very exhilarating. But I'm a big nerd, so. But awesome. Here's to a great year for our local teams. Go out there and get it. Maybe bring home a championship or, just have a good time.
Well, proud dad and me, my daughter is on the marching band this year at Freedom, and so I've just got to say, go Freedom!
I mean, and there's nothing like it. I don't know. My mom was marching band as well, so it's so much fun to have the band parents out there support. I mean, all the parents. I love a Friday night high school football game. Like, it's just a lot of fun. I'm gonna have to try and get to some this year, I think.
Yeah, well, Melissa, that's it for sports, so I'm going to pass it back to you for some news.
All right, news. A house fire that broke out shortly before 4 p.m. on Tuesday, August 23rd on the 5200 block of Laguna Court in Discovery Bay displaced 3 residents and caused significant damage to the home. However, no one was reported injured. The fire, which appeared to have started in the garage, quickly spread to the attic. Firefighting efforts were initially hampered due to the home having a center core atrium, according to Contra Costa Fire Battalion Chief Jeff Burris. Quote, a center core atrium is an atrium or solarium in the center of the house that is surrounded by glass doors on all 4 sides, Burris said, adding that it allowed the fire to spread more quickly from the garage into other parts of the home. When fire crews arrived on the scene, they found the garage and attic of the 1-story home fully involved. The fire was contained within 30 minutes. Damage to the home is estimated to be between $300,000 and $400,000. The cause of the fire does not appear to be suspicious, according to officials on scene, but it is still under investigation. Jack London Elementary School in Antioch briefly locked down after reports of a man nearby shooting at vehicles. Antioch police arrested a man on August 18th following reports that he was allegedly shooting at vehicles with a gun. The incident caused nearby Jack London Elementary School to be locked down for a short time. However, no injuries were reported. Police began to receive 911 calls just before 1 p.m., reporting a man with a gun in the area of Country Hills Drive and Deerfield Drive, according to a police statement later that day. As police were en route to the scene, more calls reported that the suspect was shooting at vehicles in the area. Police detained 29-year-old Felix Johnson with the help of several eyewitnesses. Johnson was later transported to the Martinez Detention Facility and booked on numerous firearms-related offenses, according to the press release. The press release also stated that as calls came in and the investigation continued, Jack London Elementary School was requested to shelter in place. The shelter-in-place order continued for safety purposes during the remainder of the incident. Once it was determined that there was no danger to the public, the shelter-in-place order was lifted. So that's a little older news, but still, how scary. I mean, I hate every day I send my kids to school and and have to wonder, am I going to get this phone call that the school's on lockdown, or, what are they going to do everything that they've been taught during lockdown drills? I cry. Like, I can't even talk with my kids about lockdown drills without crying about it. And like, it's scary to begin with, and then add that on top of it. It's so emotional.
Yeah. I feel helpless thinking about what are you going to do if something like that happens? I know that they have these drills in place, but it's
right.
I mean, I'm not trying to be fatalist here, but it's terrifying.
Sure.
And I send my kids to school, and I think the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I hope we don't become the next Columbine.
Right.
And I hate that we have to even think that in this day and age.
Right. I mean, let's Columbine. That was my senior year. That was over 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I say it over and over again, and Columbine, Stoneman Douglas, Uvalde. How many more are we supposed to add to this list before something is done to really curb what is going on? Like what? And I know there's no perfect answer. Like I'm not that naive, and without getting into the weeds on this, there has to be something more to protect our children.
Well, let's get into the weeds a little bit, Melissa.
Okay, let's do it.
I would say there's two different schools of thought on how to address this problem, right? One is enhanced gun control,
mm-hmm.
right? Which has many different strategies that have been proposed in the gun control's potential solution. And the other one is mental health, addressing mental health issues in the country. And it seems sensible, at least from my perspective, doesn't it seem sensible that maybe both are worth exploring?
100%. And again, this goes back to our first story, right? With Governor Newsom increasing the ability for children and families to access that mental health care and hopefully identify kids, teenagers who have had, who are suffering mental health issues sooner and get them the help that they need before it really does lead to this tragic circumstance. And I know as far as gun control goes, I'm fairly liberal. I know that comes as a shock to nobody. However, I don't feel like we need to go out and take all guns from everybody. I know that there are responsible gun owners on both sides of the aisle, and that is fine, but some of these high capacity, I know people refer to them as military grade weapons, etc. You don't go out and hunt with them. You don't necessarily need them for your own self-protection, like a shotgun will, or a handgun. That's going to do the trick if you really need it. While maybe not eliminating them completely, keep them in places like shooting ranges where people can go and still shoot them if they really have that desperate need to shoot them. But I don't see, personally, the sense in owning them for private use.
Yeah, and I can understand that perspective. I think the opposing view, the response to that tends to be, well, if the government can own it, then we should own it. Have you heard this?
Oh, of course.
I've heard this as well, and
all the time.
There's some sense to that, right? Because I think part of the Second Amendment was intended to be protection from the government.
100%.
Of course.
But now, Brian, we were talking about, so Second Amendment,
mm-hmm.
if we're getting into it, was obviously written at a time where the protection from the government well, everybody had muskets, right?
Sure.
That take maybe a minute to load. You're doing all just put the musket ball down in there and the powder and the ramrod and all of that. And so when the founding fathers wrote the Second Amendment and they're talking about militia protection and protection from a tyrannical government, in their minds, they're thinking about these muskets and bayonets and
They're not thinking nuclear weapons.
right. Well, what we now consider to be archaic weaponry, and yes, Second Amendment. The Constitution is important. However, we talk about protection from a tyrannical government, and nowadays we're talking about governments with high-powered weapons and drones and any amount of firearms are not going to protect us from that, but at the same time, we're also not, bringing it back around, because there are people who will not budge on some of the minutia of it and cling desperately to their need to own these guns, and our children are dying.
Well, which then opens up the question about the other side, the other potential solution, which is mental health.
Of course.
Right?
We need better mental health services in this country.
I don't know if anybody would say that mental health isn't an issue here in this country. I think we can all agree that, we're all a little bit on edge.
Sure. And what is being done to address it at a national level? We inch forward little by little. It's coming more into the conversation now than it did even a decade ago. It's more at the forefront, but there still is so much stigma attached to it. And as somebody...
Do you think so?
Oh, 100%. Because it becomes the scapegoat, right? For everything that people just kind of want to write off. Oh, it's a mental health issue. It's not a gun issue. Like, I can't tell you the number of times. Well, here's the thing. I sit here as a person who lives with mental illness on a daily basis, and not once have I thought I'm gonna steal a gun, or I'm gonna buy a gun, or legally I don't even think I'm eligible in the state of California to purchase a gun because of my diagnosis, and I'm fine with that. But never in my life have I thought, well, I'm gonna get a hold of this gun and go shoot people. Well, and so it's an awesome blanket for people to use, the mental health argument. However, it's painting the whole community of people who do live with mental health issues with a very broad brush. And so I, again, personally, would like to see more separation in that.
Yeah. Well, I think that you made a cogent point at the beginning of our discussion here about mental health advances in schools. Right?
Yes.
This is where a majority of these issues are occurring. These incidents are happening at schools.
Sure.
And they're happening at schools because we have young people who have emotional issues, clearly, that are unaddressed and are not they're not getting the help that they need.
Yeah.
So thinking about targeting, right? That's a place where we could start. Maybe not like a full blanket of the entire country, but maybe adding a little bit more emotional support, maybe more mental health support to our youth who are experiencing a very different world than even you and I experienced.
100%. And I think that's part of it is there is that
stigma.
There is that problem of having fallen through the cracks at an early age. Maybe if I had gotten more support as a youngster, as a young person, I would have better resources to deal with the issues when they come up now as an adult, instead of, I develop my own inner monologue. I call it my mean brain, right? And it whispers those ugly little things to me sometimes, and I have to, I've developed my own resources over time to kind of deal with that. And don't get me wrong, like as an adult, I went to a wonderful therapist and all of that. Therapy is amazing. I recommend it for really anybody who thinks that they might need it.
So to be specific and clear, when we're talking about speaking to a therapist, what we're talking about is figuring out ways to regulate your emotional and thought life in healthy ways.
Yes.
Right? So as somebody who has been in therapy on and off throughout my life, that's what I was looking for, is emotional and and thought regulation. How do I control these negative thoughts that pop into my head, these things that are damaging my life, that are getting in the way of the advancement of my life in a healthy way? And sometimes you don't even realize what those things are. And having somebody who is objective that you can bounce these things off of can be extremely powerful, even more so for a young person whose emotional brain is still not even fully developed. It's a powerful tool for young people. And obviously this is, let me just say it a different way. Imagine the value that could have added to some of these people who ended up committing some of these awful incidents. People who could have grown up a completely different way, outstanding members of society, but instead chose to do horrific things because these thought processes went unchecked and unmanaged. And, we're all capable of terrible things, and we're all capable of great things. And I would love to see some of these younger people who have these emotional issues, these anger issues. These are normal things to deal with in life, but they can be dealt with, and with improved mental health services in our schools. I can't imagine it will hurt.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Having the mental health resources in schools so that students can start at an earlier age, it will be hopefully a huge deal, and it's something that we'll be able to witness in our lifetime, is a healthier, both physically and mentally, generation of students growing into adults and hopefully being contributing members to society, and in a good way, not feeling like they have to pull some crazy crime or something like that to get the attention that they seek.
Yeah. I agree. Thanks for the discussion, Melissa.
Yeah,
I hope that was valuable to everybody watching.
Absolutely. And man, I will if you see me out and about, I will talk mental health with you all day long.
Same.
I joke all the time. We have a neurodivergent household. I'm pretty sure that everybody in our family, my husband, he executive functions for pretty much the entire family, and even he struggles sometimes. So props to him. He is a patient man. I don't know how I would do it without him, but we make it work. But man, ramped up mental health services would be a blessing for sure. Well, that's all the news for today. All the sports for today. What you got going on this weekend, Brian? You busy?
Well, I'm running sound at a couple of events in South Bay, and then Sunday, I think I'm going to the beach with the fam.
Heck yeah, what beach?
Well, my favorite to go to is Stinson, but we'll see if somebody has an idea that beats that. I don't know if they can.
Have you been to Muir Beach?
I have.
I love Muir Beach.
Still love Stinson.
Stinson is nice. I've actually hiked from Stinson Beach up to the summit of Mount Tam.
Oh, we got to do that.
Let's do it. We're going to do the what is it? The Mountain Inn?
Okay.
We'll do it.
That's right.
With the pancakes.
Yes.
September.
Sold.
Awesome. I got a wedding. I get to attend a wedding this weekend as a guest for a good friend of mine.
Oh, you're bringing your camera. Don't even lie.
I'm totally not. My camera is staying at home. My husband and I are going. It's going to be wonderful. I love to see my friend happy. She's been through a rough time, and I'm super excited to be able to be there and witness in her happiness. So I'm stoked about that. And then I'm taking a bunch of teenagers to a Comic-Con on Sunday. So pray for me.
Yeah, a fun weekend for both of us then.
Yeah. So if you're looking for some awesome weekend events, check out our online calendar at www.thepress.net/calendar, or simply pick up a copy of this week's paper. That's it for today's episode of Clocked In with the Press. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen in, and we look forward to speaking with you in future episodes. If you would like to read more news stories of East Contra Costa County, you can do so through our website at www.thepress.net or through our Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at thepress_net. Be sure to tune in again next week for all your local news and sports highlights. Contact us with your thoughts on this episode or any other before it by emailing podcasts@brentwoodpress.com. Thanks so much for listening in. Have a fun and safe weekend, and we will speak with you next time. This is Melissa.
And Brian.
Clocking out.
When it comes to the home of your dreams, a trusted realtor can help with every step of your home buying journey. The Lucas Group is committed to excellence and personal service in all their sales. Their award-winning team is dedicated to putting their clients' needs first and consists of some of the top local agents. The Lucas Group has partnered with Homelight Inc. and is now an elite certified agent partner for simple sales, trade-ins, and cash offers. Call the Lucas Group at 925-392-8926.